client brought in their Creality K1 SE. I spent so many hours trying to figure out why it was under extruding, but then it was just the initial thought was under extruding. You can see kind of some, not the best bed adhesion there. And I was at my wit's end. I replaced the extruder. I went through everything that I remembered. I went through slicer settings. I went through everything. There was always a weird noise it made, and then I was on a forum and people were like, oh, it's a bearing or something. This was loose. There were literally just screws in the bottom. Sometimes you just gotta look over everything before diving into tons and tons of forms. Let's hopefully see if I can get this client's printer back to him. Once again, I totally forgot to show how I fixed it, probably because I didn't know if it was actually gonna work in the first place. But here is what it looked like, and then here is the tutorial that Creality gives for tensioning, retensioning it. There you can see, let me see if I can zoom in. Right here, see those two screws? That's missing. And then the spring also came loose. So it's sitting on like a little like guide rail type system where this whole gantry actually slips onto it, held in with the tension of the spring, and then the two screws go in. So that's how you can actually change the Z-axis belt tension with those two screws. As you can see, it's completely off its rails. Just putting back on, putting the screws back in. I guess the screws became loose with time, and then it just popped out, and then it would never print correctly again until this was back on, obviously. Okay, so I believe that was the problem. The tensioning, the Z belt tensioner. Both of the screws were out and it was simply like flopping around. Mechanism back into its place, re-put the spring in, put the screws back in, and then recalibrated, made sure that these were all against the very bottom, because if one of these rotates, then it'll be off. So I had to very carefully get each of these against the bottom, so it was like a zero. And then I put the belt tensioner back on, screwed it together. That is a really nice bed adhesion. This was the one he gave me, and this is the one that I just did. I mean, a huge difference. That was the issue. Check under your printer. There's the 4 standoffs and then 2 screws, so 6 screws total. Take that off. Take a look at your Z tensioning. See if that's correct or if the screws are loose. There was actually a screw loose. It was shaking in the bottom. I can't believe I didn't even think of that. Anyway, this printer is ready to go back to the customer. But that's pretty much it for this printer. That was the issue. The Z tensioning mechanism was completely loose. If anyone else has this sort of issue, you can leave a question or a comment down below if you've ever had this issue. Another guy said that his issue was the bearing right here. It was making a noise, and that was causing him to have some bed adhesion issues. But mine was simply just like a complete failure of the Z tensioning mechanism. Anyway, I really hope this helps someone. And again, if you have any questions, I can try to help you out in the comment section down below. Anyway, thanks for watching.